Hi everyone, my name is Sapna Rao and I'm a systems engineer at Lockheed Martin Space, and I am from Colorado. So came all the way out here to Florida to talk to, or DC, my mind's in Florida clearly for warmer weather. So I'm going to talk to you all about a project that's actually a Space Generation Advisory Council project called PADAWANS. And before I get into that, I want to talk about, in general, why I love STEM outreach and why I think everyone should be engaging with their communities to try to bring the next generation to the space industry. So when I was in school, there weren't many people who looked like me who were in engineering jobs, and I really didn't have a lot of representation. I couldn't really see myself being an engineer, being in science, being in STEM. I didn't really see that represented. And it was really difficult, motivating myself in elementary school, like doing math classes and science classes, because I didn't really see that representation. And I had a really amazing moment in, I think, like 6th grade, where we had someone from one of the Air and Space museums come and talk to our class about just space in general and aerospace in general. And they were a woman of color. And for me, that was huge because I saw myself represented, and I saw that I could also be talking to a class in the future, inspiring the next generation. So that moment, it really clicked for me that I could, do whatever I really set my mind to, and it really kick-started my passion for aerospace. And here I am, 5 years in the aerospace engineering industry. I've worked on so many programs that have actually been to space, Artemis 1 that launched last year, and my next mission is launching next year. So just having that representation can really inspire the next generation of people. And who knows what they're going to do, and that's all of you here. But even younger than us, it's people who are still in school who are deciding what they want to do. So with that, that passion in mind, I really joined Space Generation Advisory Council and wanted to do a project related to STEM outreach. But let's take it international, because that's what SGAC is all about, doing the international aspect to it. So I really wanted to do that, and I joined the Diversity and Gender Equality Project Group. So who here knows what SGAC project groups are? Raise hands. Okay, a decent amount of people. For those who don't know, project groups are teams of SGAC members that work on various initiatives. So I'm part of a few other ones. There's a space exploration project group, and we write papers. We presented at IAC. The Diversity and Gender Equality Project Group is all about supporting minorities and doing different initiatives towards that. But there's also space policy groups. So this is a great way to get experience without having an actual job. It's kind of my fun job, as I say, on the weekends. So it's a great way to build up your experience while also working with like-minded individuals who are also killing it all across the world. And it's a great way, to meet a lot of people, especially, coming to SGX, you see a bunch of SGAC people, and the next step is working together on an actual initiative together. So that's what I did. I joined this group, I think like a year ago, and we've grown a lot, and we're doing some really awesome things. So the Diversity and Gender Equality Group is also known as Our Giant Leap. We do about 5 different projects. One is a magazine all about different diversity and gender equality initiatives happening around the world, and also we highlight some of our members and amazing people in the industry. And we also have a podcast, which is pretty great. And if anyone's interested in joining, talk to me afterwards and we can get you signed up. But we do a lot of great projects, and the interesting thing is I've done some outreach in my local community, but I'd never done it internationally, and I didn't know what the challenges were with reaching different schools in different countries that have different funding than US schools do. So that was a challenge that I kind of wanted to see how we could overcome. So the PADAWANS team does just that. And I want to just point out some metrics for our team. So we have about 62 active members, 22 different countries represented. That's pretty crazy. And we're all in different time zones, but we make the effort to have meetings together and come together. We're also 83% female, so that representation that I mentioned before, we bring that to the table. We are super diverse, we are all really passionate, and we're all representing what we want to see the future, the diversity ratios in the space industry be. So kind of going into what our main pillars are, you can see at the bottom there's 4 UN diversity and gender equality focused pillars. So we try to align our initiatives with those base ones. It's kind of a guiding point. So going into what PADAWANS is, you might be thinking, oh, that's an acronym, right? It actually isn't. We just wanted to call ourselves PADAWANS so we could be cool, like Ahsoka Tano. So we just chose that name because it's pretty, she's like laying down the groundwork for us. But we have 3 main objectives and kind of pillars, I would say. So the first one, we wanted to do local workshops in person. So this was, after COVID, and we wanted to just access those schools in person, and we wanted to do 10 different workshops throughout the year 2023, so it's ongoing now. And we wanted to reach students of the age, between the age of 6 and 11, primarily because those are really formative years, and if we can get students excited about STEM then they're likely to, access that, take higher level classes in high school, and keep going down that route. So we were really looking for that kind of age group. And then we also wanted to connect the different schools by doing one kind of joint activity. So that was kind of a challenge. How do we get these different schools across Europe to talk to each other and figuring out the kind of joint activity there? And we also wanted to provide a networking kind of opportunity in a community for our volunteers. So we had these 3 base objectives in mind, and we actually got a grant of about 5,000 euros from the Women in Aerospace ESA Barbie bursary. So we got some money to put to this, so we could actually purchase materials and do events and workshops that were more official rather than having people come and talk. It was an actual activity, and this is a picture of me and the rest of my team. So Clara is our brave and fearless leader in France, and you can see how everyone's all over the world, but we all managed to work together to put this on. So basically our workshops are comprised of these 3 main things. An important factor here is we're trying to educate the parents and the teachers, not just the students, because the environment in which these kids are growing up in and developing, that also has to represent the message we're trying to give out of diversity and inclusion. So we also provide materials and created these materials that the kids can take home to their parents and their families and talk to their, to keep doing the work after the workshop's over. So we also really focus on hands-on activities. We wanted the kids to have fun instead of just doing some kind of boring writing numbers or writing out lists. We had a lot of creativity aspects to this. For example, one of our projects is Our Planet, where each of the 10 European schools designs their own planet and draws a picture of it, and then they answer questions like, what language is spoken here? What are the animals like? And they get to design their own planet. And the real cool thing is at the end of all these workshops, we're gonna have a solar system of 10 different planets, and we're gonna be able to connect all the different schools together and really display what they've designed. So it's a really cool creative thing, and we want to make sure that space is fun for them. But we also have things like designing your own constellation, so they get to poke little holes in some foil and look up at a light and see their constellation. So we kept it fun. And for the students, we also had these educational workbooks that discuss different careers in aerospace. We're educating them on what they can do, and we also have additional take-home type activities they can do when they're at their home with their parents and the rest of their family. And again, as I mentioned, having that handbook for adults is really key. We cover just different careers in aerospace, so parents know what's out there. Like for example, my parents immigrated from India and they didn't really know how to do a career in the US. So I didn't really have a lot of guidance, and as the firstborn, I had to figure out a lot of things. But having this handbook will hopefully make it a bit easier for those kids in their futures. And this is a picture of our first workshop in London that happened in January, and we have one in France coming up. And I really wish I could be there, but I'm just preparing all the work and doing all the training for our volunteers. But you see Emma Batilde, she's actually an SGC member in London. She's kind of teaching the class about what she's done in her career. And you can also see a mission patch that a kid made up and drew out and colored and everything like that. And you also see some of the planets that they were brainstorming on. So all the kids had a lot of fun, and we really noticed a lot of the girls were feeling more comfortable coming up to our volunteers who are both female and actually both women of color, and were feeling very comfortable in asking questions about what they were doing, and just felt very comfortable. When you see yourself represented, it's a huge deal, and you feel like you can really do anything. So we're really excited for the rest of our workshops for the rest of this year, and yeah, excited to keep an eye on our social media. You'll see what we're doing and the full planet solar system. And I really want all of you to take away this message that you can all do things like this in your communities, and I urge you, everybody, to go and reach out to the school that you went to in elementary school and be like, hey, can I come and talk about what I do as a career? And really try to engage your communities. Even if you're a student in college, you can totally still do that. So just really do that, because it can have a huge impact on our next generation of STEM leaders that are all going to be in our seats in a few years. So again, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Here's some of our social media information. But if you're interested in joining, we're always looking for new volunteers. So yeah, hope to see some of you on our team in the future. Thank you.